Okay, so welcome everyone to the community dev update call. Excited to see everybody here. I'm going to spend just a quick moment to go through our testnet details. If you have questions, just make a note, and we're going to make a big long space for questions and conversation at the end, just in service to getting really quickly through the updates that the team has. And if this format doesn't work for you, make a note of that, and we can have a conversation about upgrading. So we're launching the testnet tomorrow. GenTXs are officially already due, but hint, hint, I think Joe is still working on the PR, so you could still get them in. There's going to be 900 total points allocated, and as those of you may remember, the way we're doing this is we have people earn total number of points, and then we're splitting a fixed number of 1 million XRN tokens, which is 1% of our token supply, between the participants in the testnet as that base layer of the incentive plan. So here's just the details. GenTXs were due today, and then the Genesis, that's actually, sorry, incorrect. That's the Genesis time. Oh no, that's right. GenTX was due on the 22nd at 1200 UTC, and Genesis is tomorrow at 1500 UTC, which is 11 p.m. Korean, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 7 a.m. Pacific. It doesn't have the Central European time on there. Sorry, Liviu, but can calculate. I think what's that, like 3 p.m. or something, 4 p.m. And this testnet is all about upgrades. So we have some new folks joining. We're really excited to have a few people from our open team community, which is an open source community doing sort of open ag tech, joining the validator set and validator pool. So we really wanted to start the new year out with the ability both for people to earn and to just practice sort of network upgrades, so that just everybody's getting in the rhythm of that. And so it's simple. We're not testing other things. We're actually using the old sort of deprecated version of Regen Ledger that has the upgrade module. So if you've got your script ready, like Liviu, this should be no sweat for you. So we're hoping that we can just sort of like build our ability to have graceful upgrades. We're going to do that for about 10 days. And then at the end of that, we'll be shifting over and using a modern version of Regen Ledger, which will have COSM, WASM, and other cool things, and we'll get into sort of more fun, edgy testnet stuff. But for now, it's just upgrade, kind of building capacity. So if you've got your setup already, this should be a cakewalk. We're doing the point structure here. You can look in the documentation. I'm not going to go in detail because we have other things to talk about here. And if we want to review this, we can later. So with that, I'm going to pause my part of the share and hand it over for just a couple of minutes of our lead scientist, Dr. Giselle Bowman, giving us a quick update from the methodology development side of things.
Okay, yes. Hello, everyone. I just want to share that we are working on something that is really cutting edge here, and it's related to many of the discussions we've been handling with the open team community. So I hope you like it. This is Naimi Kaira. It's a reserve in New South Wales, Australia, and it's located nearby two farms where we found strong correlations between Sentinel-2 imagery from satellites and the soil organic carbon. So in particular, the band 4, which was the strongest correlation we found, we thought that it could be useful, even though we don't have any samples there in the Naimi Kaira region. It could be useful for a pre-assessment in order to strategize where to sample soil organic carbon in order to reduce the number of samples, because this is really huge. It's 35,000 hectares, and so doing it in the traditional way, it could be very costly. So if you want to go to the next one, Greg? Okay, so what we did is we used polygons from a previous stratification, considering the soil, considering the history of land management and the vegetation cover. And we random sampled there with a huge size, like 1,000 points per land management unit or polygon. We virtually sampled in the GIS software, and we analyzed the variability of the band 4, which is, as I said, related to soil organic carbon in the surface of the grasslands. And so for each polygon, we analyzed the spatial statistics, how was the dispersion and the variability of data, if there were unimodal or bimodal histograms and many things like that. And so we identified some polygons that were the best candidates for sampling, that had the lowest, the smaller confidence intervals and very nice histograms and things like that. And you can go to the next one. Okay, so based on flat risk and some other previous information like the degradation, we strategize which were the potential combinations of those polygons in order to cover the full range of variability of land management history, and also of potential soil organic carbon in the surface. I don't know if, yeah, we have one more, Gregory. Next one. Okay, so based on all this information, we did some estimation of the sampling size within each polygon, depending on the area, on the variability of the data, and on the behavior of the histograms. And so we could estimate for each polygon sampling sizes between 15 and 30 points. Also, we used our previous analysis in the 2 farms nearby, which had a smaller sampling size per unit area. We considered that, and we did again some statistical analysis in order to see if those random sampling sizes in the polygons were reflecting similar histograms than the original ones, and we found they were okay. So okay, I'll tell you more news once we do this analysis on the ground, but I think this is very useful for pre-assessments as a proxy. If we find more correlations in other grasslands of the world, we are working now on some other farms in Patagonia, Argentina, and we think that these same bands could correlate in any temperate grassland. So this is really, really good.
Cool. Thank you, Giselle. And for those, just to contextualize this for the developer community, you know, like this intersection of science and software engineering, what the work Giselle is doing is making it possible to create a set of carbon and other sorts of ecosystem service credits at a high degree of accuracy at a low cost for a huge expanse of the planet that currently there is no such methodology that's been developed, which is grasslands, which are super important. So just to kind of like contextualize the reporting of the sort of the details of that science into, you know, why this is exciting and important, you know, and how it fits into the larger scheme of things. So thank you, Giselle. I'm going to pass it over to Daniel there in California to share a little bit about the, and for those of you who didn't know, Giselle is in Argentina. So passing it over to California for Daniel to share a little bit about the application layer.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, Gregory. Thanks, Giselle. It looks like I'm so excited to integrate like the work that you're doing into the application layer, which we're not quite ready for it yet, but I can see there's so much progress being made. A little bit about the application layer, you know, related, you know, similar also in Western Australia, we have 3 different pilots that are, you know, kind of happening all together. You know, they're all in a similar region. They all, you know, all these folks, you know each other. And what we're working towards, our development team at the application layer is what we're just, for lack of a better name, the Australia release, which, essentially what we're trying to achieve here is, that buyers can purchase ecological credits and basically understand what these projects are. Each of these projects are unique and complex, and buyers often, it's difficult to get into to understanding what each of the projects are. So what we're doing is we're setting up project pages for each of these pilots, so that prospective buyers can learn more about them, and then purchase the credits offline, right? So these folks have relationships already with their communities, right? And they're already in the community, and they're the best salespeople for these credits, really, right? And so what we're doing here is, creating a registry reference design that is going to take advantage of our blockchain layer, and issue the credits on our ledger. So Gregor, can you just click on the first picture there? Oh, sorry, go back. If you click, there's another slide here. If you just restart the slide presentation, there's one extra little piece in here. Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
Just hit present one more time. I think it'll be fine. Yeah, just hit present and then click on that the first image. Yeah, just click on it. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so just to kind of give a little bit of context, there's the ledger, and what Giselle was talking about is around the verification, which will integrate into this registry at some point, as we continue development. But really right now we're basically connecting the stewards and the funders together. And so that these credits can be issued. And the progress that we made this last week is we're starting to build the admin interface, that's the screenshot you see on the right-hand side there, so that we can start to kind of manage the types of organizations and work towards, a self-service model where we can add many, many projects to the system. So we're starting with these 3 pilots. We're, working through and really, meeting their needs. And then as we go forward, we'll be able to stand up a system where we could add projects all over the world. And Greg, if you just click on the organizations there's another little picture there as well. Yeah. So these are some just mocks from our design flows, yeah, we got our DevOps kind of in place this last week, yeah, we've had some good conversations with these folks. So more updates soon.
Thank you, Daniel. Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna just do a quick, just gonna stop share so I can, and then I'll restart because I had a little Zoom present here. Okay, I'm gonna hand it over now for a quick update from Aaron about the work that's been taking place to optimize the Cosmos SDK for our and other people's use. And I'll sort of turn the screen over so he can take over there. You'll see him twice, it looks like. The Hall of Mirrors.
All right. Hey, guys. So let's see. The main thing that's moved in sort of the protocol layer development recently in the past couple of weeks has been the work on the protobuf encoding of the Cosmos SDK in Tendermint. Now, I want to preface this by saying I know that people have been waiting for the key management pull request to get merged into the Cosmos SDK. And we're hoping that happens soon too. There's still ongoing work on that side of things, but just in terms of the sort of roadmap of the Cosmos SDK team, they're wanting to get this protobuf encoding done ASAP, and that probably get that done first. And we've been collaborating with them closely to make that happen. And I just shared a few links here of things that we have been working on. We published a small little repository that describes a specification for canonical protobuf 3 encoding. The reason for this is because protobuf by default is not doesn't deterministically encode, and that was one of the sort of arguments against protobuf initially when Amino was chosen. But there's a way to make protobuf protocol buffers deterministic when you do both the binary and the JSON encoding. And so we've specified our current understanding of how to do things so that we can have use protocol buffers for both transactions and for encoding of the blockchain state. And then there's a link there to Cosmos Proto. We've made some enhancements to the GoGo protobuf library so that the migration of the Cosmos SDK is easier. And then I linked to 2 pull requests. The first one is from Alexander Bezobchuk, who's the lead developer of the Cosmos SDK team. It's the basic kind of protobuf types that are, we feel almost ready to be merged into master. My understanding is that on their end, they're just waiting to finish the 0.38 release and then merge that in and then start merging in the rest of things. Then the second pull request there is my conversion of the Gov module in the Cosmos SDK, which, I think most of that stuff is pretty close to being ready. There's just, we're just waiting on a number of things. I've been hoping that we would have this done by the end of January, but as probably everyone knows now in software development, things always take a little longer than you hope. So it's moving along, but
could you give us just a very brief, like, why is it important to have protobuf like in 30 seconds? Like what? Because it is actually kind of a big deal. So what's the why?
So one thing that I think is often not talked about when this issue comes up is just the upgradability and schema evolution. As everyone here knows, we have been working very hard to make it so that we can upgrade the blockchain without having to sort of lose the history of transactions and just sort of start from scratch in a very kind of clumsy way. Having the Mino encoding doesn't provide there's a lot of breaking changes that happen both in Cosmos and Tendermint that make it hard to do the smooth upgrades. So that's one reason. Another reason is just generating clients, adding support for clients. There's only one implementation of Amino that's really complete, and there's many implementations of protocol buffers. And another reason is performance. Protocol buffers is code generated, it's optimized, it's tested, it's very performant. And Amino was not quite as performant.
Cool. So hopefully this will be giving Regen Ledger a really solid foundation for the application. Fantastic. So there's some upcoming conversations. This is not exhaustive, but just like in what's moving forward, I'm tracking that there's a conversation between Vitwit in our community and I'm not sure if Sunny's on the call or not, but a community member who's interested in exploring sort of a specific application Regen Ledger and work potential in southern India and working with farmers there. And so we may or may not get to talk a little bit about that in this call, but there's an exciting conversation and we want to invite more of that as people start to see the potential to create their own applications. That's something we're really interested in supporting. And then right now we're in the midst of jumpstarting a design and development cycle with essentially creating governance and DAO support for our community at Open Team. In this sort of connects to one of the foundational elements of our token distribution strategy and governance strategy with the community staking DAOs. So we're working on community staking DAOs with users right now. So that's also really exciting. And if people want to learn more about Open Team, there's the link right there, openteam.community. So yeah, that's kind of our update. I'm going to stop sharing now and just kind of open up the floor for questions, comments. If people are interested or need more information about testnet stuff or would like to talk about application opportunities, the floor is yours. Please feel free to share.
And also I'm going to stop.
Yeah, and we're going to stop recording.